Ooh, prosperity and abundance to everyone tuning in. I'm Mrs.Melanin Reigns, and it is an honor and a pleasure to be back with you all. So it is much easier for me to record this way. So I'm going to treat it as if I'm just recording a regular video and I'm not going live. What I want to talk to you guys today about is your health after narcissistic abuse. So, of course, one of the main things that a lot of people always discuss is the mental and emotional health aspects, and they tell you to get a therapist or see a counselor, things of that nature. But I want to highlight the fact that narcissistic abuse doesn't just impact your mental and emotional health. A lot, and I would say most of the people who endure it end up with physical health issues as well. One of the most popular ones being cancer. However, especially as a woman, I want to highlight how narcissistic abuse can lead to reproductive illnesses, but just across the board, your health will most likely decline. One of the main reasons that your health would begin to decline is because your nervous system really gets hijacked. And when your nervous system is hijacked, and what I mean by hijack is it becomes dysregulated. Narcissistic abuse puts you in a space where it's pretty much like you are walking on eggshells. You don't know what to expect. You feel like you're in danger. You may not be able to get out of the proximity of that danger. And it really puts your nervous system in a space where it will weaken your immune system overall. And so any underlying issues that you may have had prior to narcissistic abuse will be exposed. And even if you didn't have any issues, depending on how long you deal with it, and how severe it is, and how close you are in proximity to the narcissist, you will more than likely experience some type of illness, whether it's a reproductive illness, like I said, for women, whether it's something like your joints, your chest. It can range from anything. It can be pretty much anything. And so I really want to highlight that, just so people gain an understanding that this is not just about your mental and emotional health, because a lot of times the mental and emotional health can be overlooked. And yeah, we talk about mental health all the time nowadays, but really, if you take those concerns to court, a lot of times, if you take those concerns to family and friends, they'll just tell you, for the most part, to get over it. Even people who have endured certain things that they know have been challenging, and they know it's taken them to maybe a state of depression or extreme anxiety or whatever the case may be. A lot of times people just want you to get over it. They don't understand that this type of abuse really targets every area of your life: your finances, your mental and emotional health, your physical health, your livelihood. It impacts your children. If you have children, it can impact your living situation, and it can really, all of those extra things unraveling can also cause you an extreme amount of stress. And stress is similar to, stress can cause inflammation in the body. Let's say that. Stress causes excess inflammation in the body, and with that excess inflammation, diseases can really thrive. So again, like I said, a lot of times it may be something that you already had, like maybe you didn't have an illness yet, but it was a deficiency. So maybe you had, you would suffer with aches and pains every now and then in your body. And then all of a sudden you have like an illness in your joints, or an illness in your bones, things like that, cancer, bone cancer. Or maybe you were dealing with, you were already, as a woman, you already had dysregulated periods a little bit, but you didn't have a reproductive illness in full. And so when you're dealing with a narcissist, it can really put you in a space of, now you have endometriosis, now you have maybe you got pregnant and you had a miscarriage. You could be dealing with PCOS, because your hormonal balance will always be off as a woman and a man. But as a woman, because of how impactful our hormones are on our body and on our wombs, you can end up with fibroids. You can end up, bleeding. A lot of the women on my posts from TikTok were explaining that they had this bleeding that even when they went to the doctors, they could not explain. And I know for myself, that started to happen to me, and it started to spiral out of control. The first few times I went to the doctor, they were telling me everything's fine. I went to 3 different facilities. They're telling me, oh no, everything's fine, everything's fine. I dug a little bit deeper. It ended up being endometriosis. And so I luckily already knew how to heal my own body and how to heal my own self. So I really had to activate those healing mechanisms all over again to make sure that I was okay. But I remember being in that space and having a young child and being so afraid. I'm so afraid about passing out in here because I know that I started to bleed to the point where it was like when I would come on my menstrual cycle, I would be extremely scared of falling out. My oxygen went really low. My breathing was restricted. It was things I had never felt before, but I already expected that my immune system, I could see that my immune system would start breaking down, and I knew that I would start having gut issues or reproductive issues because I was in a state of fear, so much so that my stomach would get into knots dealing with this person. The constant harassment from the attorneys, the constant smearing of my name, and all of the things, the different tactics, the stalking, the hacking, all of those things started to weigh on my immune system. So I had already expected it, but for someone else who may not understand how to heal their own body, for someone else who may not understand how this type of thing can even work on their body, that can become very dangerous. As I said, as someone as myself, who I have a young child with me, and if at any moment something happens to me, that child is not going to know what to do because she was so young at the time. And so that was one of my biggest fears. As I said, when I would get on my menstrual cycle, extremely large clotting, the blood would be so excessive, I'm bleeding through things. And then I'm also dealing with the anxiety of everything I'm going through. My body was breaking down. So I really wanted to make this short video just to remind people or confirm for anybody who may have went through it, because a lot of the women that went through it, they didn't directly relate it to the reproductive illnesses that they contracted. They didn't directly relate it to the issues they started to have later. And so when we were able to dialogue about it, it's no coincidence that so many people experience the same thing. And especially when you go to the doctors and they're saying, well, everything is all right. Like, for those of you who understand narcissistic abuse, you understand it's happening on a spiritual level. It's not a game. That type of energy really does come to kill, steal, and destroy. And so it really puts you in a phase where you will get sick. You can get very sick from it. And like I said, if there's already underlying issues, it becomes extremely worse. It magnifies those issues because it puts your body under so much stress. It puts your nervous system under so much stress. It breaks down your immune system and it spreads throughout the body. So I hope this video was a confirmation for you. I will be speaking more on this, especially for the women who have any reproductive issues. I was able to reverse endometriosis in 9 months because I did not play around about it. I started my 28-day period plan and I stuck to it, and it showed more benefits than just what I was dealing with. It showed benefits in my mental health, my emotional health, and it was really helpful in getting back on track. So if you are dealing with anything like endometriosis, PCOS, any gut issues, even if you're not a woman and you're dealing with gut issues, I really recommend getting on a 28-day period plan. I will link the 28-day period plan that I used in the description below, and I will be back with another video soon.